You're live.
Did your 7th graders see these videos last year? Did they see us doing their 7th grade videos?
I don't know. I don't remember assigning very many.
Okay. Well, if you did, you saw Mrs. Benoit and I make a bunch of videos. We made the whole curriculum for 7th grade. Enough of that. All right, so she's helping me because we're both teaching 8th grade this year. What you should have is your titles on your paper, your essential questions written in there. If you didn't get it from class and you're checking this because of an absence, it's written in the assignment there. We're going to start with definitions. So under your essential question, your definitions, let's start with this rational coefficient. That's when we have a fraction or decimal as a coefficient. And what that can look like is like 1/2 x or 0.3 y. And every once in a while, you'll see something like this. We'll do a problem like this too. You'll see like x over 7. And that's just saying we didn't write the 1, right? That's the same as 1/7 x.
Be careful, you're getting off the screen.
Okay. Then the next part is reciprocal. Now reciprocal we teach in 6th grade, and just a reminder, so reciprocal is any two numbers that multiply to get 1. All right, so what we're talking about is determining what a reciprocal is and then using it in these problems, because what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take these coefficients and turn them into 1. So we want that to become 1x, that to become 1y, and that one to become 1x as well. Now reciprocal is any numbers that when they multiply together will equal 1. So 3/2, the reciprocal for 3/2 is 2/3. Now when I multiply this out, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6, and that simplifies to 1. So any fraction that we have, what we're really doing is exchanging the numerator and the denominator. 4/7, the reciprocal is 7/4. Do I have room on the bottom?
No, you're at your room.
Okay. So anytime we have that reciprocal, so I'm going to erase this. Anytime we have a fraction, its reciprocal is the number that will multiply together to get 1. So 1/9 would be 9 over 1. 3/7, 7/3. 2 213ths would be 213 over 2. So all of those, if we multiply numerator to numerator, denominator to denominator, is going to give you the same on both sides, and then that way it equals 1. So let's get to the examples now. So I'm going to erase my word definitions here, and now on the side I'm going to put examples. And my first example is a rational coefficient, and that's going to be equal to a whole number. Now, in the goal here, the goal is to get this to say x equals. And we want to make this x have a coefficient of 1. So in this way, we're actually going to build outward instead of vertically. So I want this to be 1, so I'm going to multiply it by its reciprocal. And if I do that on this side, I need it on this side too. Now, I'm going to put that over 1 there so that I have some justification. But here, 5 times 3 is 15, 3 times 5 is 15. That gives me 15 over 15x, or 1x. So we're right where we want to be. On the other side, Now, we can multiply it out and then do some division, or we can simplify ahead of time. When I look at this, I know 3 and 24 work together. They are a fact family, so if I divide this by 3, I can make this into 1. If I divide this by 3, I can make this into 8. And now I have 8 times 5 is 40, and 1 times 1 is 1, which means 1x equals 40. Now if I do the math and put that back in, I have 3/5 times 40 over 1. Let me do my drawing. This was really good yesterday. We all got to, oh, this one's dead. Dead green. So this one, we're going to take that and substitute it back in for x. That's written right here. And then what I know is my 5 and my 40 I can simplify, but I won't simplify them this time. I'll just leave it. So 3 times 40 is 120. 5 times 1 is 5. How many 5s in 120? There are 2, with 2 left over, and 4. And that's exactly what we wanted. Perfect. Let's do 2 more, but we'll do them a little quicker. I won't talk as much. More math, less talk. Less talk, more math. Something like that. This one's easy. So it's 10 equals y over 5. What's the coefficient of y? It's 1. And just on the side here, let me just show this over here. 1/5 y is the same as 1/5 times y over 1, which means we can write that as y over 5. That's how this is. So my reciprocal is 5 over 1. 5 over 1. I justify my whole number with that denominator, and now I do some multiplication. So now I have 5/5 y, which is the same as 1y. Perfect. Our y stayed on the right. Now I have 5 times 10 is 50. 1 times 1 is 1, which means 1y equals 50. Then we take our 50, put our little cloud around it, and say, come on, 50, get back in our equation. So that's going to be 10. My check's going to be over here. Boop. So that's going to give me 10 equals 50 over 5. And you can see it. Our mental check's going to work out here. 10 equals 10. Kaboom. Last one. So this time we'll do one with 2 fractions. And then that is not more complicated. It's just a little bigger, that's all. So I've got 5/8. 5/8 is equal to 3/2 x. 3/2 x. Where's that variable? Because that's the one we're going to solve for. I know this is going to end like this, equals x. But to start, I need to get the reciprocal of 3/2, and then that will turn this into 1x. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2/3. And I could just go ahead and tell you 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6, leaving us 6/6 x, which is just 1x. If I do it on that side, I do it on the other side too. If I act equally on both sides, my equation's not changing. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 8 is 24. That looks simplifiable. And yes, this is one of those days where we have to simplify like every other day ever in math of all time. Do it like I do. I can tell they're both even. I'm going to divide them both by 2. And then I get 5/12. Those don't share a common factor, which means 5/12 is my answer. And now I assume I'm going to get a lot of phony baloney checks. But this is not hard. Just do the first rule of equations. Do the math. Here's my bubble. Bubble, 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 bubble. March that right back to that spot. And then my check over here is going to be 5/8 equals 3/2 times 5/12. There is nothing easier in math than the multiplication of fractions. You seem like a super genius because what you're doing is multiplying numerators. 3 times 5 is 15. Multiplying denominators. 2 times 12 is 24. 15 and 24 share a common factor. That common factor is 3. So if I divide this by 3 and divide this by 3, I get 5/8, and that checks. If you have questions, as always, you can ask me. You can ask anybody in the math department. Send an email to your old teacher. Send one to your elementary school teachers, and you might get a good answer from them. Otherwise, you can ask me. Good luck.